Hey, Bernie. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Demetrius, how are you?
Good.
What's up, Bernie? There you're on mute. There you go. How's everything going?
Good, good. How are you?
Yeah, it's just same old. Dogs are going off here. What's up, Mike?
What's up, gang? How we doing?
Doing well.
Whew. All right. Give it a second. Let some people get on. All right. Scan through the Facebook group and see if we got any questions in there this week. So real quick before we get started, who has taken the Rent Responsibly survey?
I'm taking it right now.
All right, good, because today's the last day. Let's give them some love and make sure that we get them some responses. So. All right, cool. So before we get into it, I know we talked about goals last week or the week before, and I kind of feel like I let you guys off the hook a little bit. So, Bernie, I know what your goal is. Why don't you share with everybody? Because it's definitive and there's a date for it.
So, going through the goal, like you want me to lay out the steps, like how?
No. Just what is your goal?
Oh, so my goal is to have 33 Airbnbs. I have my own and 32 others, and bring in basically $20,000 a month. And my goal is to have that by the end of this. So right now I have my own already, and I have another one that I'm co-hosting. I have 2 more coming on, hopefully at the beginning of next month, and trying to find 29 others.
There you go. And so what are the things that you're doing? Because I'm seeing this a lot, not just in this group, but with short-term rental hosts in general. They're just like pausing and like not trying to get new leads. I'm like, okay, well, that's your decision. Like, that's just your mindset fucking you up, quite frankly. So what are some of the things that you're doing right now to continue to find leads?
So I'm doing a couple of things. I'm going on a biggerpockets.com and putting in comments so people get to see me. I am starting to do a blog, but I haven't quite figured all that out and then posted it yet. I did a newsletter and I sent it out to a couple of potential investors. And I'm doing a bunch of different meetings, like the same things that we were doing before as far as meetups, but doing them online. Like right after this, there's a Cleveland RIA meeting. So I go on that, and that one usually has between 60 to 85 people on it. Most of them are investors that are going on there, some realtors, you know, a couple of attorneys and stuff like that. On the Zoom meetings, you know, you can just go in here and you can change your name to say whatever you want. So I just put Airbnb and the phone number. So this way people see me and they know I'm the Airbnb guy. And so with the big meetings like that, you don't really get to talk. So I don't get to say my spiel. So it's good to just be known as the Airbnb guy on there. And a couple guys on there know me. Actually, I talked to one guy a little bit today, and I have a meeting set up with him tomorrow morning. He's not really an Airbnb owner himself, but he works with a lot of investors, so I think he can connect me to some of those. So now I'm gonna start working on a newsletter. I sent out a newsletter last month, and I have another newsletter coming out for May.
And then I think you were speaking to your insurance agent or something too, right?
Yeah, my insurance agent, he mostly concentrates with investment guys. He calls himself a domicile agent. So we actually got him for some multifamily properties, and we use them for business also. I didn't realize that was like a side thing, and his main was the domiciles. So he's got a lot of investors, and he's actually really been pitching me. So first we ended up talking by one kind of accidentally, and he didn't really realize that I was so far into the Airbnb thing. He knew that I had one, but he didn't know that I was doing the co-hosting. So he hooked me up with one guy who has one. It's like a really, really high-end Airbnb. Well, high-end for Cleveland anyway. And then he's got another guy who's got like 4 or 5, and he's told him about me, but like the other guy, he's thinking of getting out of the Airbnb again because he's got nothing going on. And I told him, like, right now mine are full, so I need, especially the smaller ones, like my 1-bedroom, it hasn't missed a day yet, except for a 3-day quarantine that we did on our own. So I told him that, and he's relaying the message. You know, I'm not sure. I didn't get any like. I got one guy that I had a one-on-one conversation with over Zoom, but he was really pushing for me to do rental arbitrage for him because he had it's a 12-unit building, and he's actually got 6 Airbnbs in there already of his own, and he wants to rent me the other 6 and do rental arbitrage on the other 6. So I'm trying to take over his first 6, so because I don't want to rental arbitrage. But he was a referral. He was a referral from one of the groups. Actually, he's a referral from the guy I'm co-hosting for right now.
So I would ask him, why doesn't he want to do the whole building Airbnb himself?
I think I answered that. So I probably should ask him. Well, I kind of asked him in the first call, and he gave me a bogus answer because after I ran the numbers, I don't think he's making that much money on it. Because I don't think he's managing it. It's all very, you know, it's very cheap and cheesy inside. So I don't think he's making the money. So even if it's making top dollar, if he's making how much he says that he's making, I don't think it'll be enough to cover all the bills that he has for it. I really think he's got to get higher occupancy. So I was trying to really push him that let me take over those and get higher occupancy in those before trying to do any others.
Yep.
But it's been a couple weeks since I talked to him, so he's on my list. So he's probably due for another follow-up call with him.
Yeah. And I would just say, give me one and watch what I can do.
Okay. Yep.
But you got to let me do what I need to do. If he's a cheap ass landlord, you might have a problem, right? Like we talked about that last week.
Yeah,
So,
that's a hard thing. I also got one other guy, which I think I talked about on this before early on, who was an out of country investor, but you just reminded me of that, Mike. But he was really, really cheap. He was nickel and diming me on everything that I was talking to him about. I wasn't even asking him to buy it yet. And he wanted my list, and I talked to his construction guy because he lives in Israel. And he had a construction guy there, so I went there, and he was redoing 4 units. And his construction manager told me that, he fired the last guy, and the last guy was doing everything, half-assed. And then the owner actually wanted him to cut corners, and he was already doing it half-assed. So this guy was there; he was ready to walk off the job when I went to see him. So I was like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, cut ties. But that's why, like, if you're putting enough seeds out there, you're going to generate enough leads.
Yep.
You don't want them all, quite frankly, but you want to be able to, you get 10 leads, maybe 3 of them look good, 1 of them makes sense, right? It's just this funnel. So you just got to keep putting in the work. So let's just go around real quick. I know what your goal is, D, but why don't you just share with everybody else?
Kind of redefined mine a little bit. So my goal is to own 1 more house by the end of this year in Las Vegas. And also on top of that, I want to co-host 2 deals as well. What I'm doing to get to that is I actually reached out to an old friend, not even a friend, but a guy that I knew from like 5 years ago that has a good long-term portfolio in Las Vegas. So when things start to calm down and when I can actually go back, I'm actually going to try to get 2 of his long-term leases and then to co-host them, see what I can do for him.
So what's your revenue goal, D?
Revenue goal is $5,000 a month, and then once I hit that, I have to change it from there. But I just want to go 1 step at a time.
Okay, $5K a month. Tristan, what's your goal, buddy?
So my goal that I've set for going into 2021, well, now till then, was 5 Airbnb properties and 3,000 per month.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to shatter that, but I haven't, as I'm kind of getting everything going, I'm not sure what to expect. So I feel like that's a pretty good goal, and on top of some of the other things, but I think I can do that.
Yeah, I know you can, for sure. So, Tommy, what about you, man?
Yeah, so I don't know, was it last call or 2 calls ago? You kind of we spoke about this a little bit, and so I just put more thought into it. So I would like to be, or my goal is to be at 10 properties beginning of April next year, co-host properties, and obviously I still. My original plan was geared more towards purchase, but I just think right now I'm gonna, unless some really good deals fall in my lap, I'm gonna kind of stay clear of those until I see what's going on with the market.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I'm just concentrating on the co-host right now.
Okay. You think you can do it?
Yes. Yep. I think I can do it. I know that. So I will be at 3. I just kind of have followed up with the house that I'll be doing, the beach house. I told you that was in renovation. So that will be, we had a conversation last week, just kind of seeing where they're at. And we're looking at maybe 3 months right now. The renovations take a little bit longer, but it's fine. And then the other unit, the other 1 bedroom, I'm looking at about the same timeline. So I'll be at 3 at that point. So it's really just 7 more, which I think I can definitely pull off.
Okay.
So.
What about you, Ken?
Our initial goal was 1K in 1 month. we're just trying to get some traction, getting our first short-term rental under our belts. We do have a realtor in Winnipeg Beach sending us some listings. We have looked at 3 properties. Those would be some to buy. So what we've done is we went on Airbnb. We looked at the 12 or 15 properties in that area that are advertised, went through the ads and kind of critiqued them, seen what we liked, what we didn't like, what we can improve on and stuff. So we kind of know what we want in that area. We're also going on Kijiji, reaching out to owners. We did have the one owner. He's got 7 vacant properties. He wants me to come in May, the last week of May, to look at the properties. They're all under rental right now. Whether they are long-term rentals or short-term rentals, until I go look at the properties, I don't know. So we're continuing to do that. I also have a person that I know. He's a businessman. He flies around to different areas, so I'm picking his brain a little bit, what he looks for, where he stays and stuff. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, just trying to get some traction and get going.
What's your real goal, though? One
Well,
property?
I put down, pardon me?
You said one property. I don't think that's your real goal, though.
No, like what brought me to this course was the time factor, with using technology and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, my goal would be 10K a month.
Okay. So you're looking at probably 15 to 20 properties, somewhere in that range.
Somewhere in that
Depending on
range,
the
yeah.
market.
Depending on the market. We were going to go to the States. We've kind of refocused local, trying to get one under our belts first, and then maybe look at the States. We're going to probably look out in DC a little bit too.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got to get going here a little bit better. I mean, I've been working. I've got a property management business on the side, and I got horses foaling here. I got horses at the racetrack. I'm kind of busy right now. It's just a busy time. I'm working at work the next 3 weeks straight.
Okay.
But we're still grinding away. We're grinding away, trying to get some progress going here and that. So.
Okay. So what's your due date for your 10K?
That was the end of next year,
For the end of 2020 or the end of 2021?
2021.
Okay. Why 2021?
It just, I don't know. It just gives me the time to learn, like, focus on learning the business better. Maybe I'm not sure. Once we get rolling, maybe it'll be quicker. I mean, I have no idea.
What do you want it to be?
Well, I want it to be 2020.
Okay. Make it happen.
Okay.
See, this is what I mean, where I'm letting you guys off the hook. Like, I'm done playing nice. Like, you guys are in here to get results. So I'm going to be kind of a hard ass. I'm not going to lie. Because when you set the intention and you fucking commit, you'll figure it out. But like when you give yourself to the end of 2021, you're like, oh, I'm kind of busy the next 3 weeks. I'm not fucking busy. Everybody's busy. But if it becomes a must, like when I got started, I literally had a full-time job, a side hustle, a kid with, crazy disease where we spent weeks at a time in the hospital, and my wife had a full-time job. Like, we're all busy. Like, we all have shit going on. But when it becomes a must, like when that switch went off that day in the hospital, I was like, I'm going to figure this shit out. And then it was like, boom, we got to 27 properties in a year and a half. It was like, boom, 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 boom. Because I got laser focused and I like refused to not let it happen. I was like, this is going to happen. And when you have that commitment, when you're that focused, you find the time. I'm telling you. If you do a time study, I just had Dee and Matt on my team. We did a 2-week time study. And you'll be amazed at how much time you think you're productive. But there's gaps in your day. I guarantee it. Even for myself, I'm like, shit, man, I took 25 minutes in the shower. Like shower and get dressed. Like, what am I doing? Like, cut that shit down to 12 minutes. Like, I'm like optimizing constantly to like be as productive as possible. Because that 15 minutes, that could be 15 minutes on the business. That could be an extra 15 minutes playing with my son. That could be an extra 15 minutes with my wife. It could be an extra 15 minutes working out, whatever it is, but it's wasted time if I'm not focused on what I actually want. So, and I'm not trying to set goals for you guys. I just want to know what your goals are so I can hold your feet to the fire. Because if you really want it, I'll keep pushing you to get it. But if it's kind of like a nice to have or like a pipe dream, I just spent a bunch of money to be in another mastermind group, like a lot of money. And the guy was like, people are talking about some of their goals. And he's like, what the fuck is the point of setting goals if you don't think you're actually going to hit it? Why even set the goal? Like, what are you doing? He's like, the point of setting the goal is to hit the goal. So like, set it and commit and hit the damn goal. But I see most people, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too, where it's like, oh, it's a nice to have. But when you turn it into a must and you set a date, shit just starts happening. And quite frankly, I want more of you guys getting more properties, because quite frankly, everybody else is pulling back right now. Everybody else is pulling back, and they're in like trying to save mode or whatever, and they're just like, oh, it's not the right time or whatever. The thing that I learned, I don't know if you guys follow Dean Graziosi, but he was like big into wholesaling and some stuff like that. And when the collapse happened in like 2006, 2007, all those other guys stopped teaching stuff. And he like tripled down on his marketing, and he was the only dude that was out there like pushing his stuff. And then as the market continued to recover, he crushed everybody because everybody else pulled back. And they
I'm reading his
momentum.
book right now.
Which one? Millionaire Success Habits or whatever it is?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, it's a great book. But that's the thing, guys. Don't lose momentum. Because once you start losing momentum, it's, what is it? There's like a law in physics around this. Like an object in motion stays in motion. It's a lot harder to start back up than it is to just keep some type of momentum going. And it doesn't have to be a ton. It could be as simple as putting on your calendar a couple times a month, I'm going to go to a virtual real estate meetup and change my Zoom name to Tommy the Airbnb guy with my phone number in. It could be as simple as anytime that you're actually talking to somebody in a profession, you slide it in there about like, yeah, I'm actually looking to grow my portfolio in these areas. If you know any landlords that are struggling right now that might be interested in this model, just send them my number. I'd be happy to talk to them. It's just doing those little activities over and over and over again, right? Like I'm getting more active on LinkedIn now. I'm doing, you guys are free tonight at 8:30. I'm doing a summit with a couple other badasses. I had Nick Spone on here probably a year ago. Him and this guy, Ned Mahik. Ned's a beast, man. That dude, he was worth close to 100 million at one point. He's got, I don't know, thousands and thousands of student housing deals. He's a beast. But I'm constantly putting myself out there while everybody else is contracting. So do that for yourself, and I'm telling you, it will pay dividends. It might not happen this week, this month, next month, but the more that you do it while everybody else is pumping the brakes, the bigger advantage you're going to have in the next few months. I guarantee it. What about you, Chris? What's your target?
I've been practicing that habit, the setting your goal in the morning at night, and honestly, I set it for 10,000 a month free cash flow, and it's funny that you're saying all this. Like there's not this like burning desire for that right now, and I'm trying to figure out why. Like I'm not going to try to make excuses. Like, I don't know if it's laziness or I just don't have a clear idea of exactly what I want yet. I know I mentioned more time with my kid and my wife. I don't know if this was your situation with your full-time job. Like, I love my full-time job, and it's not something I want to give up. So I'm not quite sure what that, freedom number is for me, because I kind of like my balance right now and the lifestyle that we're living. I'm sure you'll hammer me on that in a second, but the short term is no visits down to my cottages this summer. It's really easy for me to go down there because it's 20 minutes away. So a guest has a problem. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take care of it. So my real big focus right now is building on my team. So I am just picking up the phone versus doing the stuff myself. That would be a big win for me, because if I can optimize that, then it truly means that I can do this thing from anywhere, and I have a model to, really execute on. So it's building the habit that I can delegate and not, I don't have to do everything myself. That's my number one goal, is automate no visits this summer. My second goal is to get to $1,000 a door, and I have 2 cottages, so that would be 24,000 for the year. And if I can get to $1,000 a door, then I know, okay, well, I can replicate that 10 times and I'm going to hit my number pretty easily. So I'm trying to focus just mostly on those 2 process goals. But I just haven't felt the fire to like get to 10,000 or 20,000, because honestly, we're there and we're doing it today with our full-time jobs, even though we're not, it's W-2 work. So maybe that's the problem. I'm just too comfortable doing what I'm doing. I'm not sure. What's your feedback?
Yeah, for sure. So the mastermind that I'm in, it's one of Bob Proctor's masterminds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bob Proctor, but he's pretty much studied like the law of attraction for the last 50 years, right? And he talks about goals in 3 different buckets. And so the first goal that most people set is a goal that they already know how to do, right? So he gives an example where a kid comes up to him and he asks him, hey, Bob, can I ask you for some feedback about my goal? And he's like, yeah, sure. What's your goal? And he's like, I want to get a new Pontiac. And he's like, okay, that's fine. You know, Pontiac's a fine car, whatever. He's like, what do you drive now? The kid's like, a Pontiac. He's like, how old is it? He's like, it's 4 years old. How long have you owned it? 4 years. He's like, so you're telling me for the last 4 years you've known how to get a brand new Pontiac? He's like, that's not a good goal. It's not motivating. There's no juice behind that. And so that's, a lot of people set goals because they already know how to hit it. It's easy. Then the second level of goals is goals that you think you can hit if everything goes right. And I think a lot of people are setting those goals of like, I want 5 properties or whatever, because you think you can hit it if you do certain things, right? If all the ducks line up, I'm pretty confident that I could hit that. But then there's the third category where it's like your dream goal, like, you know, 100K a month, whatever it is for you, right? That super high goal where it's like, fuck, man, I don't even know how I would do that. But it's something that like calls on you. The purpose of the goal is not to achieve the goal. The purpose of the goal is to become the person that you need to be to hit the goal. That's a real goal. Okay, so for me, as an example, in the coaching business, okay, if I want to go from 10K a month to 20 to 50 to 100, 100K a month, I cannot be the same person that I am now to hit that goal. I just can't. I'm not going to be the same person, right? Like when I started training for a half marathon, I was not the same person at the beginning that I was at the end. Then same thing from the half marathon to the full marathon. Like your mindset completely changes. It's a totally different ballgame. So like at some point when you first get out of college, probably making 100 grand felt like a big deal. It was like, oh man, like that would be amazing if I could just make 100 grand. A lot of people on here are making 100 grand, more than 100 grand. It's like once you hit it, then it's like, oh yeah, I'd like to make $1 million. But most people stop at 6 figures because they deep down in their core, they don't think that they can hit it. They don't think that they can hit $1 million. They just don't think it's possible. It's bullshit. You just don't know how to do it right now. It's the systems are there. You just don't know how to do it. So set a goal that's going to inspire you. So as an example, okay, I am very comfortable financially. Obviously, we've got some shit going on right now that I'm not as profitable as I was a few months ago, but still, we're comfortable, right? My goal, one of my goals is I want to write a check to Operation Underground Railroad that rescues kids from sex slavery. I want to write $1 million check to them every fucking year. That's a goal that drives me, because when I don't feel like getting up and doing the work and doing all the posts and whatever, I think of those kids going through some fucking atrocious things right now. I'm like, dude, get your ass up and get to work. It has nothing to do with a Lambo or anything else. That's just me. That stuff can motivate certain people, and that stuff's on my list. I want the range, I want the Lambo. But when I wrote all my goals down, the one that like really pulled me was that one. I was like, that was worth it for me. And that was really pulling me. So for you, if you think about it, you're comfortable financially, that's perfect. But what could you do if you made maybe it's not a charitable, whatever it is for you, but find something that's like, man, I would feel so fucking good when I do that. Like, that will make a difference. And when you set goals that way, we all start out at a certain point where it's like, we just need to make ends meet. Then when you get comfortable, that's where most of us are. You're comfortable, so there's nothing really, it's a nice to have, but it's not a necessity. You gotta find something that's just gonna pull you into massive action, even though that you're comfortable. for most people, even myself, I'm guilty of this, especially in my health. I should have a six-pack. I don't because I'm comfortable. I'm pretty healthy. You know, I work out intermittently. My diet's okay, not great. But like, if I had something really pulling me, like this dude Ed Milet, I don't know if you guys follow Ed Milet. When he was in his 30s or something, his uncle died of a heart attack, having some health issues or whatever. He went to his doctor, and the doctor was like, "Hey, you got a little girl, right?" He goes, "Yeah, I got a baby girl. She's got a girl." He goes, "You want to walk her down the aisle someday?" And he was like, "What the fuck?"
Hey, Mike. Hey, the sound's gotten really low. I don't know if that's just me.
No, it's me too.
Starting to scratch.
I can't hear you, Mike.
Yeah, it's degrading bit by bit.
I think you were hitting the table too hard. Broke something.
All right, how about now?
Oh, yeah.
That's better.
Okay, that better? Okay. So, are you guys getting an echo? Or is it just me?
I don't hear an echo.
Okay. Anyway, so what I was saying is did you guys hear the bit about Ed Milet?
No, that's kind of where we started losing you.
Okay. So Ed Milet, he's in his 30s. I mean, now he's worth like, I don't know, 400 million or something stupid. But when he was in his 30s, he had a little bit of a health scare and he went to his doctor. And his doctor was like, you know, you've got a little girl, right? And he's like, yeah, I've got a 1-year-old daughter. And now most doctors would be like, all right, well, your cholesterol's looking a little high. Like you should probably start, you know, taking care of yourself. You might have some long-term issues. But he's like, my doctor didn't say any of that. He just looked at me and he goes, do you want to walk your daughter down the aisle one day? Or would you want some other dude walking her down the aisle? And he was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, and so he was like, if you want to walk your daughter down the aisle, here's what exactly you're going to do. This is what you're going to eat. Here's how you're going to work out. And here's all these different things that you need to do if you want to take care of yourself. So he's like, now every day that I don't feel like getting up and working out, I think about walking my daughter down the aisle. So like when you have a goal that can just pull you like that, you'll run through walls. You'll do whatever it takes. So for each of you guys, find something that is going to pull you to that goal. Because quite frankly, all of us on here, we're all comfortable. We all, you know, earn a decent living. Bills are paid. You know, it is what it is. But you need to find something. Like if you truly want 5, 10, 20, 50K a month from this business, you got to find something that's going to pull you. And if you don't, I can guarantee you're not going to hit it. You just won't, because you won't be consistent enough, and you'll get to a point where you just get comfortable. And if you're fine, that's fine. But figure out what your real goal is and then figure out the why behind it. That's why I'm so big on this stuff, because it freaking works. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Thanks.
No problem. Matt, how about you, buddy?
Hey, so I was actually just talking to Sam about this because obviously we've been going through a lot of things with buying all these houses and whatnot. But so we just bought a two-family, and actually we were just talking about probably buying another one soon within the next couple months, probably 6 months to maybe a year, depending on if we find one. So we're trying to do like this long-term thing. But as I was thinking about it, I started it. Maybe about 5 months ago, I really started like kind of hammering down on like what I want for my long-term goal. I think I want to do at least 5 co-hosts at this point next year. I want to at least have 5 under my own belt. Definitely. And then we want to have at least 2, 3 families under our belt as well. So I want to kind of diversify it that way. I want to do a little bit of both, I think, while co-hosting my own properties as well, those 2 or 3 families. So I kind of want to do a little mixture of both. Yeah, that's probably my biggest, and just honestly, I think I just wanted around $5,000 a month, just to live comfortably off of, just to have, my wife makes a decent living. You know, that's probably my goal. And I think I just want us to travel. That's our biggest thing, is we just want to travel the world, just travel, do what we want to do, have fun, live our lives, and just kind of, you know, not really have any worries, to be honest. that's our biggest thing. So
I'm going to call you out a little bit just because I love you. Because your language, you're like, I kind of want probably somewhere around, like, set like a definite absolute dollar amount and a date.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you define it and you set a date to it, there's power in that.
Yeah.
And it'll pull you to it. So it's like, okay, if you guys want to, how many trips a year do you guys want to do? You know, do you want to fly first class? Do you want to stay at the Ritz? Do you want to stay in a villa? What does that look like? And how much would it cost you to do that?
Yeah.
And let that pull you if that's the motivating factor. Because you're probably going to need more than $5,000 a month to do that if you want to do that.
Yeah. Right. Yep. I have to really set, I think I really have to sit down and like set my goals. I haven't really done that yet. When I want to, I'm making excuses just like everybody else kind of thing. And I shouldn't be. So I really do.
The big key is deep down, most of us don't think you'll actually do it. Subconsciously, you got to change. Because when we're using words like that, and this is something that I've been working on for years now, is the language that I use. Like probably, or I'm going to try. There's no try. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so when we start using those definitive words, and even with people, and, you know, some people might think I come across as a dick now, but it is what it is, where it's like, if somebody asked me to do something in the past, I'd be like, I don't know, maybe. Now I'm just like, nah, man, I'm out. I'm not going to make that. I'm just definite. There's no maybe. It's a yes or a no. And I just commit either way. And I just say, I love you, but I'm not fitting that in my schedule right now. Yeah. I'm just not. And so when you have that definitiveness and like your language patterns, that's the first part. And if you go back and watch the coaching call with Nick Spone, or if you hop on tonight at 8:30, he's been one of my best friends, and he's really coached me through a lot of this stuff. But if you do that, and then like Bernie, and I think I shared it with you guys last week, if you write that goal out every single day and you say it out loud, by December 31st, 2020, I will have 20 co-host properties, which will come to me in various times and amounts during the year. In exchange for this, I will be the most efficient and effective co-host, you know, delivering the best value for all my clients. I'm so grateful that I have all these properties. Now I can see the 20K a month in my Stripe account right now. And if you do that consistently, it's how you you reprogram your subconscious mind. Because we operate 95% of our day on autopilot. Like, how many of you guys have ever like driven to the office and you get there, you're like, I have no idea how I got here. Because you're just on total autopilot most of the day. So if you're on autopilot and your subconscious mind is still at this level, but you need it to be at this level, you'll always find a way to cool it back down. And I did this for years. Every time I'd gain some momentum, something would screw it up and I'd come back down over and over and over again. It was like this roller coaster until I started working, you know, on the subconscious. And then gradually I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago. Like, not even close. Like it just continues to elevate. When I first got started, my goal was I wanted to have 5 properties. And I was like, oh, I'll probably stop at 10. And then it was like, I think at 20 properties, I'm going to be good. And then my coach was like, why would you stop? I'm like, well, I'm comfortable. And she's like, who gives a shit if you're comfortable? She's like, you're teaching people. She's like, there's going to be people that want 50 or 100 units. If you can't level up, you can't help them. I was like, all right, shit. All right, I guess I'll keep going. But it's reprogramming that subconscious and drilling it into your head every single day. Like, I write them out twice a day. I read it out loud twice a day. And I just constantly ingrain it in my subconscious that like, this will happen. period.
Can I chime in on that, Mike? Because
Yeah.
like you said, I've been doing that, and it's right here. My goal. I can't see it in the green screen, but it's very true because I've been doing that, and I think it's almost 2 weeks now, and it is getting into my subconscious. And one of my problems with time management is I get sucked up into all these different projects in all the different agencies I'm in, and in church, and in my work goals, and sometimes even in networking, I get drugged into these other deals. And in the past week, I said no 4 times that I can't believe that I would have gotten sucked into it anyway. And, one of them was a business opportunity that I was like, it's a great opportunity, but it's going to take time away from this, and it's not going to make as much money. So I was able to say no, and the guy just kept on pounding me on it. And I'm like, no, it's just not going to happen. And like Mike said, I didn't give any flexibility. And there was another thing with church, which normally I would jump in and do it, but I know there's other people on the call that will do it. And I just set it up. I'm like, I give you guys the guidelines, and you guys just got to set a committee to do it. There's people that want to get in there and help. So it definitely works, because those are 4 things I'd have been doing probably later on tonight if I didn't say no. So thanks.
Yeah. Cool. So let's transition now. Who's got some questions, either about what we talked about or just business in general?
I have a question. So just to kind of fill you guys in. So I got going with the short-term rental stuff probably 2 months ago, and I'll get the business started. So I don't have any properties right now, and just starting my search for, going through basically all the stuff in the program, and wondering, well, I don't need to take up all your time of like where are you along in the process and how many properties you have, but I guess my question would be to anyone who wants to offer it, if you had a bit of advice to give yourself when you first started, or to give to me, what's like a couple things that you really learned that's very valuable to you?
Thank you for asking that. I'm curious to see what everybody says, so I'm going to shut up.
I can go first on that. One thing I would give myself advice on is just don't second guess. Just like go through the program, go through each step, and do it as it's taught. Like for me, I was just like constantly rechecking and confirming for no reason. Once I actually got it done, it made so much more sense.
Kind of to double on that a little bit, I spent probably 3 years really studying real estate, trying to figure out the market I wanted to be in. I wasn't even thinking about short-term rentals until after the multi came on the family and it was in a short-term rental area. But looking back, it's been over a year, and I've learned so much by just doing it. I mean, the course, nothing against Mike, but the course is great. You got to go through it for sure. But there's going to be so many nuances of actually owning or co-hosting whatever strategy you take. And you're not going to really understand them until you do them yourself. And I've just learned so much over the course of the year that I know, okay, my next property is going to have to meet X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, and E, F criteria, versus when I was first just getting into it, I was like, I just want a multi. So you learn so much about just criteria and the actual model you want to follow with whatever market you want to get into.
Okay, great.
Bernie or Tommy, you guys want to jump in?
Yeah, one thing, I've been investing a long time, a little bit over 30 years, and I did a lot of things my way, and what they call the Lone Ranger strategies, and a lot of strategies really worked, but it took me so long to do them that if I had like followed like Mike's guidelines or somebody's guidelines to the T when they have a proven system, I probably would have gotten out of rat race a lot sooner. And I told Mike I actually did get out of it once, but then 2008 happened. But so it took me 20 years the first time, and I was on the road for 20 years the second time. So this kind of all sidelined it, and I can definitely see getting there much, much faster. And even I'm doing that also in my other strategies, like in multifamily. I'm not trying to reinvent multifamily. There's so many guys that do it. I'm just investing with them and just being totally passive on that. So I definitely would say, the guys that know what they're doing, just either follow them or let them do it, and don't kill all your time trying to reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
Tom, you want to add anything?
I mean, honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out. So no, I don't really have anything to add there.
Okay. I think the biggest thing that held me back, because it took me 9 months to do my first deal. And then it took me 9 more months. Well, about that. 9 months to do the second deal. And then it just took off, because I think D said it. I just overanalyzed and overanalyzed and overanalyzed and overanalyzed. And then one of my other mastermind groups was like, dude, you're either going to shit or get off the pot. Like, you're going to do this thing or what? And they're like, you're going to make mistakes. It's totally fine. That's normal. And that was the biggest thing that I had to get over, because I was always a good student in school. There was always a right answer and a wrong answer. Business does not work like that. Like, there's no perfect blueprint to anything. And you just got to have to be okay with screwing up, making mistakes, then just jumping on these calls and figuring out how to fix it. But, I've made a ton of mistakes in this business and other businesses. And if I waited for the perfect opportunity or tried to do it without making mistakes, I never would have got started. And that's what held me back for so long. So, I mean, worst case scenario, you get into a deal, you don't make a lot of money. I mean, that's kind of worst case scenario, especially with co-hosting. So it's like, what's your downside?
All right. Well, thank you guys for that. Appreciate it.
All right. Anybody else have questions?
Yeah, I have a question. And actually, before I even get to my question, I don't know if you guys are running into this right now. Right now, our Airbnb is having all kinds of technical issues, because that was them that was just called me back. Tech support, I called them just before this call, and then they just kept on calling over and over like 5-6 times, so I forgot to answer them. But so like my login doesn't work on the computer, but it works on the phone, and I wasn't able to get into like the calendar or something like that. But I can still get into it on the phone, but not on the desktop. So they said they figured out that there's other people having that after I talked to them. But my question is this: so in my big co-host property, I just had the first bad guest, and I haven't had that many guests, but I had the first bad one. So I have some questions around that, Mike. And so there was a couple of things that the cleaner told me. First of all, they smoked in it, so it was really stanky. And then they burned incense, and they left incense on a windowsill, and they burned the windowsill. There was a bloody handprint in the bathroom. I mean, some really messed up stuff. Nothing that we can't really get done with like a really, really deep cleaning, but we had to steam clean the rugs, wipe down the walls. So now in my listing, I have like smoking remediation. It says $500 minimum. And I was just going to charge them that. And my wife, even though Mike, you think she's a softie, she's actually a tough guy. She's like, no, charge them for everything individually per item. So I ran all the items. I even charged them for having to block out a night, because we couldn't rent it that night because we had to have somebody come in the next day to do the steam clean and all that. So I ran the bill up to like $908. Now she right away, I guess she must have told Airbnb, no, she's not going to pay it, because the last time I had somebody not pay it, it went like a couple of weeks where they didn't respond, and then they paid me for it. But on this one, Airbnb replied to me like within 2 hours. They're saying there's an issue, and we're going to be looking into it. We're going to be looking into your bills. So is that because it's a high dollar amount, or is that because she called them up and says, I'm not paying for this?
It's when she declined it.
Okay.
So normally the way it works is a lot of people just won't respond. So you have to give it, it's either 48 or 72 hours, like 2 or 3 days. I can't remember. But if they don't respond within 3 days, then you have to follow up with Airbnb and say, hey, what's going on? Like, this person didn't respond. But
Okay.
because this person responded right away and said, no, I'm not going to pay it, then Airbnb will reach out to you. They'll probably try and get you down on the price or whatever. But yeah, I would include everything. Like, Matt, I don't remember. It was like 800 something bucks that we charged that dude for Canal Street. But
Yeah.
in your
His kids.
situation, you definitely want to make sure that you had photos of everything. Right. So I took pictures of, we had somebody smoke in one of our properties and they left like ash on the floor. So we took pictures of the ash. We took pictures of stuff on the wall. Make sure you take pictures of the blood on that stuff.
Yeah, we got the blood, we got cigar wrappers, we got ashes in the garbage cans.
Yeah.
I guess my question is more around like, are they going to want to see like a bill for $500 for smoking remediation? Are they going to want to see the actual bills for everything?
I would have those available. So you could even have your cleaner, if it's still your wife, have her mock up a bill from
she's
some
not
cleaning
cleaning
company.
that.
All right, good.
I haven't let her clean that one.
Good. Yeah. So anytime that we have to submit for a claim, I always want to make sure that I have a receipt or like a link to Amazon. Especially, we do this all the time for like sheets and pillows if they get stained, is I'll just put a link to the Amazon stuff that shows like, this costs $27. I'm asking you for $27. And here's a picture of the damaged linens, right? Because they want to be able to show proof that like you're just not making up some random number. I mean, you could say when Airbnb calls you, like, look in our house rules. It says no smoking. They clearly smoked in the house. We charge $500, and you see what they say. That's the only tough part when you're getting bookings from Airbnb or VRBO or any of the platforms, as opposed to getting direct bookings where you could just be like, dude, I'm charging you $500. Like, this is in my house rules. Airbnb kind of has the final say, which sucks, but it is what it is. It's kind of the price you pay to play. But I think you did everything by the book. So I would just, if they call you, they're probably going to call you. They'll send you a message first and then they'll call you and just explain the situation. What's that?
How long should I wait for them to call? Like, because it's been like 2 days already.
Yeah, you could just give them a call and just say, hey, what's going on with this? Because then they usually escalate it to like a case manager or whatever, and then it goes up the chain.
And I think that listing also has something with a deposit, because that's the one that Danny did the optimization for me, and he put in a deposit. So is that deposit still being held right now since she left 2 days ago?
I would call and ask
right away, right, like 2 hours after she left.
I would call and ask Airbnb. I have yet to have success with like their security deposits. I kind of feel like they're almost worthless on Airbnb. I don't know if anybody else has had something different, but I would just call them and just explain the situation. Just say, hey, what's going on with this? You know, we had a lot of damage in the property. We submitted all the documentation for it. This is clearly defined in our house rules. If there's no smoking, it's a $500 remediation fine. And that's what we charged them. We have all the evidence. So are you going to help this host out? Or are you just going to tell me to pound sand? You know what I mean? And just talk to him on the phone.
All right.
But before you take that call, a little piece of advice, put yourself in a positive mindset and just have faith that you're going to get the money.
I see the money.
Yeah, that's it. Seriously. Do that before you get on the phone with them.
I see 25% of that in my pocket.
There you go. Seriously, whatever money that you actually want to get, just visualize yourself getting that money. Mm-hmm. And don't take no for an answer. Just say, you know, I just need to speak to a supervisor because this isn't what was in our house rules that we set up with your platform, blah, blah, blah. But just put yourself in that positive mindset.
Okay.
Hey, just speaking on that, I'm wondering how important is it to have photos from after each and every cleaning, kind of in that scenario? Is that something that they Airbnb will ask you for?
If there's damage?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Make your cleaners take pictures of everything.
Yeah, so I've been having her do that, and I just, you know, I don't know, maybe on this call or something we had talked about it, but I just wasn't sure if that's something, you know, how do they even know that, you know, that photo was from the last cleaning, you know? It kind of like, to me, comes.
You could have them
hearsay,
timestamp it. There's apps that'll timestamp it.
Yeah, because I'm definitely not timestamping them. She just takes them on her iPhone when she's done and sends them over. I just feel like these things would probably would get into like a lot of just hearsay, you know, and how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I haven't had much debate on like hearsay stuff.
Yep.
I will say Airbnb, sometimes they hold their cards close to the vest and then they like come to a resolution. So, I mean, you get what you can get, but I always charge for everything because if I get it, great. If I don't, it's a cost of doing business. But I always put everything through. People are like, you put pillowcases through? I'm like, every time. Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
So, does that help, Bernie? Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yep.
So I just want to kind of get your input. So part of getting back to the goal thing and the thought that I was having when thinking about that, which is, you know, was how to get there and just kind of mapping out a plan to get there. And so, you know, my first thought was, as far as like, I'm looking at numbers and I'm just thinking, okay, so if I get in front of, you know, 10 interested parties, you know, I feel like I'm confident that I could close 10% of that, just kind of going conservatively. And then I'm kind of thinking, well, how many interested parties, or how many people do I need to contact to get 10 interested parties in front of me? And so then I just went at 10% again. So I'm looking at 1,000 people. And then I broke that down over a year, because basically I have a year to achieve this goal. And at the end of it, it worked out to 4 phone calls a day, or 4 contact points a day, whether it's on the phone or, you know, through Facebook groups or network meetings. So first of all, I think it's important that everyone kind of does that to get to your goal. But as far as like the numbers go, I mean, do those numbers even make sense from your experience? Or should I be looking
to contact nearly that many?
No.
It just depends. Like when you're setting the intention, set the intention that you're going to close somebody every week.
Yep.
Just set that, just expect that to happen. And just put yourself out there. Like I got a lot of my leads. I got a couple off of Craigslist when I first got started. So that's why I teach that, because that's where landlords are. They're advertising their properties there. But then I got leads just organically by putting myself in certain situations, like at meetups or at a co-working space that I used to work at. And I would just talk to people. And I wasn't really pitching them, but I was just like explaining what I do. And I'm like, you know, I just help landlords make way more money and they can be totally hands-off using this model.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Organically is
that
how
pitch.
I've gotten the deals that I've gotten so far, but I just need to do more of it, you know. Obviously this
What
is
are you
kind of
doing right now?
So right now I'm putting letters in mailboxes around the neighborhood. So I drive the neighborhood. I find signs. I put letters in the mailboxes. So I've just started that. So far I've sent out or dropped off 7 letters. And actually yesterday I did follow-up letters to those letters because I didn't get any responses from them. So that's it. And then I'm trying to find some Zoom calls that I can get on just to get back into networking, because I was hitting a lot of physical meetings. So that's been cut off, obviously. And then bigger pockets. I've done some, you know, kind of chiming in, but not enough. So I want to make that more of a, you know, jump on bigger pockets every single day and just give my 2 cents. So. But right now, the main thing has been the letters. I haven't even been making phone calls. I need to be making some phone calls.
How many letters?
Who's
did you
your dream
drop,
client?
So far, I dropped off seven letters, and I just did follow-ups.
Well, I've dropped off 50 letters. Haven't got a call back. We're going to do some follow-up soon, though. So
Yeah, I mean, follow-up's the key. But yep. So yeah, I know I need to be doing more.
Who are you targeting? Who's your dream client?
So it's investors. I want to work with investors.
Okay. So the mailboxes that you dropped off, are those investors?
I don't know. So some of them I do know, because what I've been doing is just kind of I'm jumping on the property appraiser site, and then I'm finding who the owners are. And then I have seen now to where I'll see the same names over and over, or a few of them, they're in LLCs. So I'm assuming that those people are investors. I'm not sure about the other people. So.
Okay.
And
So
I'm just kind of doing those because, I mean, I'm looking at like the low hanging fruit because, you know, kind of just approaching it like, you know, as a neighbor and, you know, being right here in the area. I live right in the area. It's a good area. So yeah, they may not be 100% my target market as far as being investors go.
okay. So a couple tips. First off, when you're putting those letters in the mail and you're writing those letters, set the intention that you genuinely want to help these people make more money.
Yep.
Do not focus on yourself. Do not think about how much money you're going to make on it. Just know that you're going to deliver a better service and you're going to make them more money. So just set that intention before you even put them in the mailbox. The second thing I would say is ask yourself, if you're targeting investors, when you say investor, are these entrepreneurs that just own rental properties? Are these full-time investors? Like when you say investors,
Yeah,
who are you talking?
Entrepreneurs would be someone that I would, you know, resonate well with and be able to, I think, you know, just have good conversation and good connections with.
Yes. So that is exactly who I target, and it works very well for me. And if you think about it now, when you dial that in and say, okay, I want to work with entrepreneurs making 300 to 400 grand a year. They own some investment properties, or they're interested in getting in the game. They have capital to invest. Where do these people hang out? Like what are these people doing right now? Where are they hanging out?
Right. So, yep, just got to figure that out.
Is there a local BNI near you? You know what BNI is?
Nope, but I will look it up.
Business Networking International. So
Okay.
what a BNI group is, and I guarantee that there's some around you, and they're probably doing virtual calls right now, is it's a group that meets every single week, typically early in the morning. And you basically pay to have a seat in that group, but you are the only one in your field.
Okay, yeah, I'm
So
familiar.
you would be the only Airbnb person there.
Yep.
And then the sole purpose of that group is to pass business to each other.
Right.
That's it. So you meet every week, you give a 60-second pitch, and then every couple months you give a full 10-minute presentation. So business owners, they hang out at BNIs, they hang out at the chamber, they hang out in different business groups. They're probably on LinkedIn. They might be on Facebook or Instagram. I've dabbled with bigger pockets, but quite frankly, most entrepreneurs are busy people, and they're not like on forums that are preaching for free education. They're fine with pay to play. They'll drop $2,000, they'll drop $5,000, they'll drop 10 grand to speed up the process, because time is money, and they understand that. And so figuring out for you, where in your market are those people hanging out, and how do you just get your face in front of them? Because you can still drop the letters, keep doing that, but what other strategy could you use, and how do you place yourself as the expert in your field? So put out content, right? Like if you look at my Facebook profile page, I don't use Facebook for chatting with friends. It's all business. It's social media. I'm putting my face out in the media over and over again. I'm the Airbnb guy. I'm the Airbnb guy. I'm the Airbnb guy. So when people think of Airbnb, that's how I got invited on the summit tonight. They want to know what's going on with Airbnb right now, because I'm the Airbnb guy. So be the Airbnb guy of Florida or your market.
No, I like that.
And it just takes persistence. Like it doesn't happen immediately, but the more you do it, so-and-so tells so-and-so, tells so-and-so, tells so-and-so, and they keep seeing your face over and over and over again. You know, look at my Facebook profile, like my personal one, and you'll see it. It's like clearly says what I do. Like you could put, I help landlords earn, I don't know, 25% more or whatever. I just help landlords make more money by running their property as a short-term rental. Or I help investors maximize their income through short-term rentals. Whatever phrase you want to use, but just start putting that out there and kind of dial that in.
All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Can I just add on there, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an app you can get called DealMaker on your phone. You don't have to send out a letter. It'll take a picture of the property and send them a postcard. You can actually go on Google Maps. You don't even have to drive around. You go on Google Maps and it'll take a picture and send it to the owner. It'll send a postcard.
Okay. What's the price point on that? Like 65 cents a postcard or something?
Yeah, it's so much a postcard. I forget the exact number, but I mean, I can't do it here in Canada, but I was watching Max Maxwell do it in the States in North Carolina. That's what he does. They driving for dollars, they call it. It's called DealMaker. It's an app for your phone. It'll take a picture and send a postcard to the owner.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Ken. All right, guys. Any other questions? What I would encourage all of you to do is firm up that goal, firm up your why, and then I don't care if it's blogging, I don't care if it's Facebook, I don't care if it's LinkedIn, I don't care if it's meetups, but do something every single week to get in front of people and tell them what you do. And just start moving the needle. Because everybody else is pulling back, push forward. And then on the other side of this thing, in, I don't know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is, people are going to be seeing your face over and over and over and over again. And then they're going to be like, you know what? Maybe it is a good time. Maybe I should try this thing out. But it's all about consistency. All right, I'm going to check the Facebook group. It's a quiet week. I don't see anything in there. And if you guys want some extra accountability, post those goals in the Facebook group. A little bonus for you. So when I made the decision to get my first property, I was at an annual mastermind event in Canada. And I got up in front of 100 people. And I said, if I don't get my first listing in the next 90 days, I'm going to eat dog shit on camera and I'm going to sell my motorcycle in front of 100 people. And they got it on video. So when you create some accountability behind it and you tell as many people as you can, it will push you because it won't let you off the hook. It's like good peer pressure. So if you want the accountability, post it in the group and say, by this date, I'm going to have X number of listings and commit to it. And then let everybody else hold your feet to the fire. Tell your parents, tell your spouse, tell your friends, be like, by this date, I'm doing this thing. Anytime I have a big goal like that, like my wife knows what my goals are because I tell her every day and she hears me fucking chanting them in the shower. But like when I was going to do the marathon, I told everybody. I signed up, I raised money, I did all sorts of stuff. There was no way I raised close to $10,000 for running that marathon. There was no way I was not going to finish a marathon after taking that much money from people. You know what I mean? So just that extra accountability helps to pull you. So
I was going to post in the Facebook group. I definitely want to hook up with someone as like an accountability partner. A lot of my friends in my, like my personal life, like I love them all, man, but there's no one really doing the stuff that I'm doing. So, between my other company, I want someone else who's like, fucking going for it.
Yep. 100%. Post it in there. And if nobody responds, I'll do it with you.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, guys. I don't see any other questions in the group. Anybody else have anything before we jump?
Mike, how do we jump on this LinkedIn call at 8:30? What's that? And
I'll post it in the group when we get off. It's like I think it's a I think it's a Facebook Live. Like I'll be on Zoom, but I think it's going to stream to a private Facebook group or something. Or not a private, but a public Facebook group that they set up. It's called the Elevate series. So it's myself, Nick Spone, Ryan Snow. Have you guys read The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod?
Yeah.
It's another amazing book. You guys should check that out.
Can you say it again? The Miracle what?
The Miracle Morning.
Got it.
But it's almost like a chicken soup for the soul. Like after he wrote the first one, now there's a bunch of them. And my buddy Ryan wrote The Miracle Morning for Salespeople. He's a real estate badass. He's flipping, 100-something properties a year. We're working on a JV right now where any of his leads that don't want to sell to him, he's pitching them on Airbnb and then kicking them my way. So he's a real badass. Ned Mahik, like I said, I don't know, he's worth a stupid amount of money. And then Nick is like a mindset ninja. So it'll be a good call. Cool.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
Very cool.
All right, guys. Hey, and if you haven't taken that survey, take it tonight because it's closing at midnight, I think. So for those of you guys that did take it, thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys. I'll talk to you guys next week.
See you.
Sounds good. See you guys. Thank you.